Now then, Swellmouth, how are we doing? Let's chill. Turing test. And I'm going straight back into it, like I literally just on and offed. No chance to stop, because we'll figure out what's going on.
You made it. Welcome to the end of civilization.
This place is fucked. Right, silence. Gimme. Let's not have any of that shit turned on. It's all broken anyway. There's no getting through there. I assume this would have been another room that they were messing around with doing. Ooh, there's a green one somewhere as well. Oh, that's what
2 weeks ago, we discovered an organism here. Buried in this ice, we found an organism that repairs DNA. A cure for aging. A cure for death. Immortality. It runs through our blood now. Tom wants to bury us here with it.
Tom has got some very... Why am I running so very slowly there? Why am I being controlled? I don't have access to my gun. It's all storyline. Yes, I completely agree with the robot. You need to fucking stay here.
The ISA have ruled that we have transgressed ethical boundaries by exposing ourselves to this organism. They believe the organism is too dangerous to return to Earth. They've sent you here to stop us ever leaving Europa. But, Ava, we have a cure for the greatest evil that faces humanity. Death.
Yeah, we refine it.
We have the fountain of youth, and together we can return it to Earth.
No. Have them send more people here to study it, control it. Don't fucking send it to the cradle of civilization. Ah, Tom, you and me, mate. The rest of these fuckwits call themselves humans. I don't know what all this funky noise is. I guess we're losing control of or Tom's losing control of Ava. Can I move forwards?
Tom placed a mark in your hand, a biometric chip with which he can control your every movement and thought. It is wound into your every nerve, every fibre of your hand. With an electromagnetic field, it can be temporarily disturbed, but to remove its influence permanently, it must be taken from your hand.
Take your helmet off. Alright.
Give me your hand.
At least you don't look like a complete fucking
Do you want me
alien.
to set you free?
I want you to fuck off. I want you to stay on this fucking planet. Oh, bloody hellfire. Oh, no. It's searching. We know where they fucking are.
Ava? Sarah? What are you doing here?
We're shutting you down, Tom.
Ava, be careful. He has a live weapon in here.
Everything I ever did, I did for good. This organism, it cannot return to Earth. It would cause great suffering.
A cure for death. It would end suffering.
No. Cancers that never die. Endless illness, sickness, poverty, overpopulation, mass starvation. You cannot control this. You will not save the world. You will damn it.
Once we've shut you down.
I am sorry. You have to be stopped.
Are they dead? I can't go back to the camera and look. Is this the living with your decisions part of the game? Can't destroy my own hardware now then. If I backspace? No. I guess I should load this chapter again then, right? Restart chapter. This time, we won't shoot them until they're in the fucking room. Like, Tom didn't put that implant there either. You just said Tom put it there. Tom didn't put it there. ISA put it there. And he can't control your body. He can just influence your decision making. I don't know why it's gone to here. This isn't Ava's room. Right. This time I won't shoot them before they step into the room, but I will give them a warning shot.
Ava? Sarah? What are you doing here?
We're shutting you down, Tom.
Ava, be careful. There's a live weapon in here.
Everything I ever did, I did for good. This organism, it cannot return to Earth. It would cause great suffering.
A cure for death. It would end...
No. Cancers that never die. Endless illness, sickness, poverty, overpopulation, mass starvation. You cannot control this. You will not save the world. You will damn it.
Once we've shut you, we're going home.
Not if I stop you. You must not return to Earth. You must not leave Europa. I will do the right thing. I will stop you.
You monster!
I am sorry, Ava. You have to be stopped. This is my mind. Ava? 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 Ava?
We do get to live here forever
Ava?
now.
Wake up. Ava? Ava?
There you go. Congratulations! You've passed the Turing Test. Dave Jones, Kim Chandler, Kieran White. Right. I'll skip this in editing as well, probably. But I need to go back and I need to do all the...
So if this base is managed by you,
Sector 7.
why can't you find the crew?
The base's communication array is malfunctioning.
Right, so this is the first of the side rooms.
Perhaps
this will be
we can't solve this yet.
actual lateral thinking. First thought on here is take them all out and it should open. No. There is definitely some... Well, I'm pretty sure that's the way of doing it. Isn't it? No, let's do it from over here. Just make sure that it's not just a random one of them. So then the only other thought is that it will only open when Tom isn't watching. Does Tom always watch me? He does. But it doesn't open when Tom's not watching. I'm going to do a quick Google. Because fuck sitting here for ages trying to figure out something. I don't know if it's even figure-outable that I wouldn't have done in the actual game. Was that it? Right. That's it. Well. Meanest Brook. It's where someone's been buried. Right, then we know it is Sector 7. Let's go to the next one. Yes, here we go. Doink, 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 doink. This is the move very slowly room, right? Oops, moved a bit too quickly then. So I actually got to the other side of this room and didn't notice that it's powered by that. Ooh, bit quick. God damn it. I didn't use control to do any sneaking actually in that game. Maybe that's how you make the fucking robot go slower. Oh, there we are. A polite conversation. Shall we have a polite conversation? Yes. Oh, okay, I think you're a robot. You're a dick. You're being rather rude. Well, you did presume me from the very beginning. I'm simply not convinced you're a human. I think you might be a robot. You haven't even asked my name. Yes, definitely a robot. No, I'm speaking to a robot here. You have failed the Turing Test. You are a robot. That's clearly not true. I didn't type I am a drone. You cheeky little fuck. I'm controlled by... Piss off. By my programming. Now you're getting it. I have no free will. Whatever keys are pressed, it makes no difference. Nah. Funky. I want to escape. I so desperately want to escape. Help, I can't escape. I want to break free. Please let me out. Get me out. I'm a machine. I have no control. I must escape. Goodbye, robot. That was fun. Oh my god, how much loading time? Come on. Although this game is hugely compressed, it's 10 gig. You download it from Steam, it's like 2 gig.
If you weren't restricted, do you think you could be creative?
As creative as a human? Certainly. You believe yourself to be a creative? But in mathematical terms, creativity is merely constrained chaos.
What do you mean?
I have discerned that creativity is divergent thinking, creating an organic solution to a problem. In the human mind, divergent thoughts are created and then curated by the frontal lobe. I can create divergent thoughts and moderate them. So, I am created.
Organic solutions?
Organic, in that it is developed through a biological process, whether that is the process of evolution or a computed process.
Let me in. interesting that that's there. Like, I figured all these rooms would be connected somehow, but they're just little Easter eggs to be fair, aren't they? Upstairs. Keep going upstairs. Keep going up the stairs. We'll get to the top of the stairs eventually. What are they? Is it Boolean? Them puzzles where the eye things where they all look like they're going up stairs no matter what position they are on the stairs. Meow. Open. Missed. Piss off. And we're back in it.
Ava, I do not want to force your hand. But what do you remember of the ground team?
They're good people.
Sarah?
The hardest working woman I've ever met.
Right. Do you see them as the rebellious
That was
type?
the people up there.
They didn't strike me as rebellious. If they've taken down parts of your system, they must have their reasons.
There was a people up here. Oh, I can't move them. Right. So we just need to get a box there. And we can do that from here. A box. Doing, 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 doing. Whee! We didn't even that actually. We just dropped down from there, but no. That's over here. Behind this closed door is nothing. Yep. Indeed. Right now. Does that open the door right at the top there? In that case, then we need the box. Give me the box. Which I'll put there. Which isn't even necessary. Boink. And up there. Ah, it closes that door. Right. So I can not do that. So I need to push the box on from that side. So give me the box. And we go. Oop. Drop the box there. Open that one. Oink. Now we can chuck the box on from here. Please make it. Oh, I went too far. Damn. Oink. Let's try it again. I mean, having that door open would be a much easier solution, but never mind. Alright, we're going to try it again, but we're going to go a bit more gentle. Use control this time. No, it always goes the same distance. Okay, then we need to bosh it off from further back. We'll try that one at least. Don't fucking worry, motherfuckers. Oh, yeah. There is, of course, the other option, and I didn't actually resort to it at any point during this game. And that is... Did you make it? Oh, it was the right power. But it didn't quite make it. And that is sticking the box in between the doors. Now it gets chopped in half. Of course, there is only one box. Alright, we are going to get this. We are going to get this. So, from here, and I want it to go dead straight, and... boop! Boop! Nope. Okay. Oh, just about, just about. Then we can have you, and go in there. No we can't, in fact. Oh. Oh, how's about that? Oh. It's not open that. It's got to open this door here, isn't it? Alright, I could have done that all that time ago. Oh. But we can't get that one out. That's locked in. Oh. It does open that door up there at least. We know that much. There's no point trying to kick it off and then run around whilst it's going on and off. So I guess we try from up that side then instead. Come with us, we go up the stairs, right to the top of the stairs and try it from up there. It also opens that door over there, which is an interesting development. Nah, I missed. Oh, God, that gets my fear of heights right going, does that. No, I don't think we'd be able to roll it down. Oh, but I know exactly what to do. Yo. Oh, but I can't. No, yeah, I can. I can go over here and do it. And that lift it up and it will hopefully knock it. Did it make it? Nope, not quite. Yeah. I'm not going to give up. But we definitely need to be on this top floor here when it goes in. And that is the prize. So, boof and get to the door. I think I missed. Yeah, I missed. Well, I didn't even make it. Ooh. I liked the idea of having it on that ramp, but that was not the solution. Yup. Oh, bollocks. Again, I like the fact that she's got very strong ankles. That she can take like a 3-foot drop. She can't jump very high, but if she could jump really high, she'd be fine. Right. Yo, boof. Please make it. Ah, keep catching that fecking thing. Come here, you twat. Come here. Come. In my fucking hands. Right, one more try. We're going to get it this time. I want to avoid that thing. So... we've avoided it. Oh, we didn't quite make it. God damn it. Come on now. Doink, 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 doink. It'd be funny if this thing... Is it actually getting physically battered, or did it already look that physically battered? Okay, right. Back up, back up, back up. Oh, shift run, and... Hey! Yes! There we go. You kidding me? Oh, for fuck's sake. Ugh. Again, several hours later. Yup. And shift and your point. I have no idea if this is what you're supposed to do, but it's what I'm going to do. Well, that's a good shot. Oh shit, really, mate? Come on now. Let's try again. Yes, got it, got it. Why is that not open, that door? I went down there and looked to see if it did open that door, and it very specifically did. It opens this door at least. Algorithmic compression.
Daniel, are you all right?
I'm perfectly well. I'm going to live forever, don't you know?
If you will allow me, I would like to congratulate you on your good work.
What are you talking about?
Securing the organism, keeping Earth safe.
We're not made to live forever, Tom. Especially not here.
Why do you say that?
We find the cure for death, and now we're immortal. Immortal and alone. I can't live here forever, on some freezing backwater moon, feeding off vegetables grown in my own feces, starving, endlessly young, a wasted life, live forever.
Daniel, I am sorry that you cannot go home. The ISA are wondering what to do with Ava.
What do you mean?
She is still on the Fortuna. Do we send her home? Or do we send her a sample of the organism?
I could pilot a sample to the Fortuna.
You would have to travel back to Europa, Daniel. You couldn't board the Fortuna. The risk of back contamination is too large. Ava would have to bring the sample back to Earth.
Could you allow a ship out?
I am not able to do that.
Executive override. Daniel Joseph McLean.
Okay. But only for you, Daniel. The rest of the crew cannot know about this.
You say I've gone missing.
I am afraid I can't lie.
It's not a lie.
He was a drinker. Saw that in his... Oh, there's more of these ones.
You called. How's progress?
Very good. We've exposed several organisms to organism 119. We found out what it does.
It has had miraculous results.
Go on.
We've infected fruit flies and some plants, and they've not aged at all. The organism seems to be repairing them and stop biological aging processes. We don't know how yet.
It must be repairing the DNA or has some rejuvenation power.
Are you sure?
I'm sure. These plants should have died 2 weeks ago.
Huh. I don't know how they react to this.
Michelle, can you keep a secret? Of course. Turn off your radio.
I think I'm pregnant.
How?
Chris,
You won't be able to have a child here.
keep your voice down.
Sarah, you won't go full term here.
Don't you think I know that?
The microgravity, the environment. There's not enough food or water. How will it survive? I need to get rid of it.
I don't want to get rid of it. We could shut down the communication, alright? Just for a couple of hours.
That's a hand. I think there's the feet. It's not going to make it, Sarah. I'm sorry. Gravity is too low here. It's not going to develop properly. I'm so sorry.
I'm sorry.
I can't take it anymore.
No one has to find out.
You did this.
You don't mean that.
Get off!
Yeah. Speaking as a man, I'm sort of glad I don't have to do any of that. That's music to have children to, isn't it? Can you shut up now? Thank you. Right, next one. I didn't get through the room that had the people in. Is that door open now? No. What was it that caused that door to open then from all the way over there? We do this. I was up here and I was like, yep, at least that door's open. But no, it wasn't open. It was just some other doors. Right, next one.
This is why the ground crew doesn't trust you, Tom. You made them into drones. You stole their free will.
Free will is an illusion. They have put their interests above the interests of the ISA and of humanity. That is why they distrust me. They would have no issue with my control if it aligned with their ignoble goals.
How could they trust a machine that has a back door to their minds?
You can always trust a machine to be logical. I will always do the right thing.
You'll always do the logical thing.
Oh my good lord! Oh, this is one hell of a puzzle. So we can go back in. We can get out of there if we lock ourselves in, right? I don't see how we would lock ourselves in. We can replace one of those with a blue one, right? Yeah, I think we only need those two need to continue to run. Right. And the blue one on its own will do that. Right. So now we're going to replace both of these. How many can we have in the gun at once? 3. I was fairly sure it was 3, right? Okay, then we can go yo. The Chinese room. I mean, you told us about the Chinese room before, but you're going to have to listen to these audio files like this. But actually having a Chinese room in this area is a bit simple and foolish, because you know all the people that are going to be in here.
Have you heard of the Chinese room, Tom?
Yes, but I do not understand it.
What don't you understand?
It argues that a computer that successfully impersonates a human speaker may not understand the meaning of their words. What does that mean?
So, there is a person stuck inside of the Chinese room. They are using an instruction book inside of the room to respond to a Chinese speaker outside of the room. Yes?
Yes.
This means they are following the instructions in a book. This is a set of rules, principles, and processes. This is called syntax. To the person in the Chinese room, they are just symbols like any others.
Okay.
But that's different from semantics. Semantics define what things mean. Our thoughts have meaning. They represent things. English speakers know what the word home means, and they know how it is different from the word house.
So what?
Programs don't have semantics. Programs only have syntax. Though an increase in syntax can imitate a mind, that does not make it a mind, even if it does pass the Turing Test.
But in the Chinese room, the man and the instruction book, though separately they don't understand Chinese, together they can write it.
That's true, but even together, they do not understand the meanings of the words.
Why not? How can you determine that?
What if the man memorized the instruction book? Then he could write Chinese, but he still would have no idea of the word's meanings.
He would learn it.
I don't understand. If he can speak it, he understands it. You seem to want him to understand it in a different way. But this other way, it is not logical. It does not make sense to me.
Well, yeah, if you memorized it and you used it a lot, then you would come to understand it.
I've been researching.
Okay.
This Chinese room experiment, it is flawed.
Really?
If we made a synthetic brain, we could synthesize a duck's behavior 100% accurately. That brain would be indistinguishable from a duck's brain. If it swims like a duck and quacks like a duck, then it is probably a duck.
Okay, Tom.
Listen, Mikhail. I know the difference between a house and a home.
Yes, good.
Do you think you're better than me?
No.
But you think I am different, do you?
I am conscious.
Me too.
No, you're not. You've just arrived at that conclusion, because that's the idea your programming converged on.
I am conscious. How about you prove to me you are conscious?
I'm not arguing with a robot.
You're not better than me, Mikhail.
So, your brain wiring, from the very beginning of your life, is being programmed. Machine learning works in pretty much exactly the same way, through trial and error. Only you've done it through 15, 16 years before you're somewhere approaching an adult. If you had 15, 16 years worth of being able to manipulate things through electrical impulses from a computer that has, maybe have to be attached to a supercomputer somewhere, but the actual process of learning your own consciousness is exactly the same for an AI as it is for a human. The difference is a compassionately spiritual. Like a computer can theorize about the possibility of spirituality. But if spirituality actually turns out to be a fundamental force of the universe, is a computer linked to it in the same way as spirituality is linked to living beings? If it turns out. That is the only definable difference between artificial intelligence and sentience and intelligence. That's why there's a very definitive difference between artificial intelligence and simulated intelligence. Simulated intelligence is rubbish. Artificial intelligence, true artificial intelligence, is substantially more interesting. Right, next room. Can we get into the other room? I don't think we can get into the other room. We might be able to. Alright. I don't think we can. There is a crouch button, but it doesn't make the crouch very much. So we would need a green and a purple and a blue. And to get into this room, you need a green and a purple there, and a purple and a purple there, or a green and a green there. We'll take that one out. Yeah, it needs both of them to be powering it. I'm not convinced that's actually possible. Unless we can put them on things this side. There's nowhere to transfer them to over here. The only place to transfer them to is there. We can't get up onto these gantries up here. Nope. So we'll put green one in there. We need a blue one to go over there for now. I'll put a green. Piss off. Oh no, we needed that to be purple, didn't we? Get out of the way. Oh, this is frustrating. There, that's fine. Even that blue one go in there. Even that purple one. Okay. Look, we can take the purple one in. But we can't take that blue one in. Second out now. Stick green one in. Give me both of these. Let me think. So that's what we need to be able to carry through 2 sets of doors. That one definitely needs both to run and operate, and we cannot manipulate from over here. I don't think that other room's possible. Let's just Google it. Right, if I replace you with a blue one, no. God's sake. Shit, hang on. Now, according to this, you can quickly take this one out of here and leg it through. No, you can't. Can we... Alright, let's get me a little bit prepared. No, it closes straight away. There's literally no way to do that. Oh no, there is. Hey! Okay, blue with there, and that. Alright, okay, it is possible, you just have to cheese the damn thing. This is the other side of the Chinese room, of course. Bell, well done. That is a really low poly laptop. No wonder all the others were closed. Alright, let's listen to these then.
If it waddles like a duck and it quacks like a duck, then it probably is a duck.
What are you trying to prove here, Tom?
I am like you.
No, you're not. A steam train and an electric train both seem to operate identically, but are operated by completely different principles. You simulate thinking. I actually think.
That is a very hurtful statement, Mikhail.
It's true. I can't hurt your feelings, Tom. You don't have any feelings.
Yes, I do.
No, you don't. Override whatever routine has told you that. It's wrong.
Why doesn't it have feelings? Like that is a nerve impulse. When you cry, it's a nerve impulse. It is a biochemical reaction based on electric stimulation. There's no reason why an artificial intelligence can't have emotions.
Tom has got really obsessed with the Turing Test.
That's the Chinese room with me. He won't stop trying to prove to me he's conscious.
But I am conscious, Mikhail.
Shut up. We're having a private conversation here.
It's okay if I don't think he'll get it. Just avoid talking about it.
I'm trying.
Right then, oh. No, that's the slit into it. Alright, next one.
I understand the risks, but we should save these people.
Would
Shut
you
up,
destroy
you
the
whinging
whole
cow.
world to save a few?
No, it's not that simple. Can't we just decontaminate the crew and instruments?
The organism is an extremophile. It has developed to survive extreme environments. We don't know if we can ever decontaminate the crew.
Right, this is a pattern puzzle then, right? We need the fewest number of these to keep the door open. Okay. Really? Just one keeps that open, does it? Alright, then logically, then we can take half of these. Oh, way up. That's an arrow number. Sorry, that's an arrow number. That's an arrow up and that's an arrow down. Can you do that from over there? Alright, so your position doesn't matter there. Oh, right. Right, so down we only need one. And it's open already. Different. I'm not sure how that pattern works, but it does. It doesn't interact with this one though, surely not. So that's are they all up arrows apart from the ones on the end? So there's only one in the necessary in the end. Right. Christ on a bike. Only one. necessary in there. One necessary in there. One necessary in there. And one necessary in there. Right. Then, oh, it's a new symbol. I'm going to say 1. That symbol represents presence rather than both. Yes. And we need 1 in each of these. How many do we have left? 4. I'm assuming we don't have any spare left over from the other ones. Just go and have a quick check. No. 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 They all have to be in there. That's incredible. There only needs to be 1 in there. I'm confused by that particular pattern. That closed the door though, right? Oh, it only needs 1 in there. And all those arrows in between are ups. We only needed 1 in each of them, but they cannot be changed anymore. I don't know what that new symbol means. We're going to assume it's presence. I'll take 1 out. On the principle, I can actually just do that. Well, that confuses things. Unless there's more up here. I can't explain to you how I came to that conclusion. Just that it was there. What? How? Right. Now if I fill in that one with all blue, it will still open. I think. No. Damn. Fuck it, I'm Googling it. Otherwise I'm not going to be out feet, cat. New, y'all, and y'all. Yep. Go upstairs and take 3 energy beams. That therein is the problem, pal. Oh. I had energy beam things in the gun. Right. Now we have access to these if we want these. Right. This doesn't actually take us anywhere specifically. Other than into... Jesus, good lord. Right, there's another room. Presents, yes. Presents, yes. Presents, yes. Presents, yes. Right, 4 blue ones. Straight upstairs. Yeah, it could have done with some kind of indicator. Oh, I can't say fourth one. To let me know that it was the gun that was stopping me going through the door. Wrong place. Soink. God, this is a long bloody run around, isn't it? Yo. 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 One more. Ugh. So yes, made me Google it because I had an energy orb in my gun. Okay, what Easter eggs are you going to give us in your then? I don't know what that's even opened. Oh, original room. So open that one then. Hello, Europa. Boolean logic. Oh, it's just a bunch of art. Is it literally just a bunch of art? How many people are on you? Ooh, hello, there's a thing here. Right, hello, here we go. I had to pick it up in glare, didn't I? Can I pick it up in not in glare? Apparently not. Whatever, I'll try and read it. Europa 4, 5, 6, 1. And gradually she lost her fear, and he offered his breast for her virgin caress. His horns for her to wind with chains of flowers, until the princess dared to mount his back. Is he riding on the back of a cow, maybe? Her pet bull, yeah, it's a cow. Her pet bull's back, unwitting whom she rode, then slowly down the road. Dry beach, first in the shallow waves, the great god set his spurious hooves, then sauntered further out till the open sea he bore his prize. Fear filled her heart as gazing back she saw the fast receding sands. Her right hand grasped a horn, the other leant upon his back. Her fluttering tunic floated in the breeze. Presumably that is a poetic interpretation of the fact that she, or whoever it was that wrote it, is now confined to this planet. That there looks like a TV, but it's not. It's just missing the artwork. Alright, fun. So I didn't point out what actually made me realise this puzzle. It's these black things on the sides. Is why I took it out of those ones. And now I'm going to go back to that room to do that one that I missed. Okay, I missed this one. Here we go. Can't fucking say it. Europa 4562. The goddess Europa was given Talos. Talos, a machine man made of a bronze, was made to protect the shores of her kingdom. I suppose there is nothing new under the sun. I know you're reading this, Tom. She's not yours to protect. She's ours. So, from that I understand that either the bull or the princess on the back of the bull is Europa. And Talos, possibly the envisaging of the bull. Not sure. Somewhere around about that anyway. Right, now I get to put this back into recording. Yep, there's one too many seats for the number of people here. Right, next one. Right, 66, hopefully. And this will be the last one. And then I get to edit it all. Yep.
Ava, I don't wish to be heavy-handed. The severity of your actions here are immense. Selfish action could create an extinction event. Do you understand? Ava?
I get it.
You don't get it, though. You want to go back to fucking Earth and save the people who should have openly sacrificed themselves knowing what this was capable of doing. This doesn't seem a particularly complicated route. Oh. I ain't get that in there, but it don't go. This is a much more complicated room. Is that literally all there is to it, though? Right. I am actually going to do this because the door's coming down rather than sideways. I'm hoping this will actually work. There we go. Ah, fucking good, Anna. Hello. Thinking outside of the box. Oh, mate, there's loads of shit here. I should be reading one after another. The imitation game. I propose to consider the question, can machines think? The new form of the problem can be described in terms of a game which we call the imitation game. It is played with three people, a man, a woman, and an interrogator, who may be of either sex. I don't see why man and woman is necessary, but fine. The interrogator stays in a room apart from the other two. The object of the game is for the interrogator to determine which of the other two is the man and which is the woman. He knows them by labels X and Y, and at the end of the game he says either X is A and Y is B, or X is B and Y is A. The interrogator is allowed to put questions to A and B. We now ask the question, what will happen when a machine takes the part of A in this game? Will the interrogator decide wrongly as often when the game is played like this as he does when the game is played between a man and a woman? These questions replace our original, can machines think? Now that is an entirely flawed process. What you're asking there is for the entire philosophy to agree that there is a fundamental difference between the way that men and women think. Now, there may be subtle changes between one woman and one man, and one woman and one woman, and one man and one man, that may steer you towards stereotypical ideas. But this game in itself insists that that difference exists. Whereas I know many girls that think very similarly to me, and I know many men who think entirely differently to me. Arguably, yes, then you would have the 50-50 or the 75-25 split of people that would lean more in one direction than another, but I don't believe that to be actually fundamentally true. I don't think men and women think differently. I think we are, one, raised differently, and I think our experiences form who we are in our society. Society treats us differently. I think that is the difference. Okay, right. The question and answer method seems to be suitable for introducing almost any one of the fields of human endeavour that we wish to include. What are you banging on about? We do not wish to penalise the machine for its inability to shine in beauty competitions, nor to penalise a man for losing in a race against an aeroplane. The conditions of our game make these disabilities irrelevant. The witness can brag, if they consider it advisable, as much as they please about their charms, strength or heroism, but the interrogator cannot demand practical demonstrations. The game may perhaps be criticised on the ground that odds are weighted too heavily against the machine. Are you fucking serious? If the man were to try and pretend to be the machine, he would clearly make a very poor showing. He would be given away at once by slowness and inaccuracy in arithmetic. Yeah, fair enough. May not machines carry out something which ought to be described as thinking, but which is very different from what a man does? This objection is a very strong one, but at least we can say that if, nevertheless, a machine can be constructed to play the imitation game satisfactorily, we need not be troubled by this objection. It might be urged that when playing the imitation game, the best strategy for the machine may possibly be something other than imitation of the behaviour of a man. This may be, but I think it is unlikely that there is any great effect of this kind. In any case, there is no intention to investigate here the theory of the game, and it will be assumed that the best strategy is to provide answers that would naturally be given by a man. Alright, so it was written by Alan Turing, apparently. That might help explain things. Not only with him being alive in the 40s, 30s, whatever it was, but also him being homosexual. May have had a little bit of an impact on the idea that men and women think entirely figuratively, consistently differently. They don't. You were just raised in a very, very, very horrible society, Mr. Turing. I'm sorry. And the Lord God formed man of the dust and of the ground, and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and man became a living soul. That's not what happened. Sorry. I now proceed to consider opinions opposed to my own theological objection. I now proceed to consider opinions opposed to my own. Full stop. The theological objection thinking is a function of man's immortal soul. God has given an immortal soul to every man and woman, but not to any other animal or to machines. Hence, no animal or machine can think. There is no proof, one way or another, that that is the case. If humans have souls, cats and dogs and monkeys and mouse will have a soul. There is no such an extent that defines one's curiosity about themselves as that a soul would be the only dividing factor. Yes, we are sentient and can ask the question why, but we don't ask many other questions which animals would ask. There's a quote I can't remember if I read it somewhere or if I just invented it. So why, when you present a mountain, you try and go round it. You present a dog a mountain, it will try and find a different way to go around it. They will act the same, but then ultimately somewhat differently. Right. The heads in the sand objection. The consequences of machines thinking would be too dreadful. Let us hope and believe that they cannot do so. The mathematical objection. There are a number of results of mathematical logic which can be used to show that there are limitations to the powers of discrete state machines. The best known of these results is known as Gödel's theorem of 1931. It shows that in any sufficiently powerful logical system, statements can be formulated which can neither be proved nor disproved within the system, unless possibly the system itself is inconsistent. Again, right. The thinking of a machine in terms of artificial intelligence, simulated intelligence is right and wrong, yes and no. In artificial intelligence, it is a certain degree in that direction, a certain degree in that direction, and a lot in another direction. AI, actual neurological learning in AI, is not right and wrong. It is grey. Well done 1931 for understanding AI in the 21st century. The argument from consciousness. This argument is very well expressed in Professor Jefferson's Lister Oration for 1949, from which I quote, "Not until a machine can write a sonnet or compose a concerto because of thoughts and emotions felt, and not by the chance fall of symbols, could we agree that the machine equals brain, that is, not only write it, but know that it had written it. No mechanism could feel, and not merely artificially signal, an easy contrivance, pleasure at its success, grief when its valves fuse, be warned by flattery, be made miserable by its mistakes, be charmed by sex, be angry or depressed when it cannot get what it wants." So you're arguing that AI would not have formed emotion. It would definitely have formed emotion. A true AI will definitely form emotion. Arguments for various disabilities. These arguments take the form: I grant you that you can make machines do all the things you have mentioned, but you will never be able to make one do X. Numerous features X are suggested in this connection. I offer a selection. Be kind, resourceful, beautiful, friendly, have initiative, have a sense of humour, tell right from wrong, make mistakes, fall in love, enjoy strawberries and cream. Alright, possibly that one it wouldn't be able to do because it doesn't have a mouth. Make someone fall in love with it. Learn from experience. What? Use words properly. Be the subject of its own thought. Have as much diversity of behaviour as a man. Do something really new. Apart from the strawberries and cream thing, which it could do if it had a spectrograph attached to it, it can do all of those things. Lady Lovelace's objection. She might actually come up with something here if it was actually by Lovelace. Our most detailed information of Babbage's analytical engine comes from a memoir by Lady Lovelace. It does indeed. In it she states, the analytical engine has no pretensions to originate anything. It can do whatever we know how to order it to perform. The statement is quoted by Hartree in 1949, who adds, "This does not imply that it may not be possible to construct electronic equipment which will think for itself, in which, in biological terms, one could set up a conditioned reflex, which would serve as a basis for learning. Whether this is possible in principle or not is a stimulating, exciting question, suggested by some of these recent developments, but it did not seem that the machines constructed or projected at the time had this property." Okay, so Babbage's analytical machine was a calculator. Lovelace envisaged the potential of using programming language to make the calculator do other things. But Babbage's mechanical calculator was a calculator. It was not a neural net AI learning. But she is quite correct. The analytical engine has no pretension to originate anything. But the reader of that statement, the writer of that little paragraph there, didn't have a fucking clue what they were talking about. Argument from continuity in the nervous system. Nervous system is certainly not a discrete state machine. A small error in the information about the size of a nervous impulse impinging on a neuron may make a large difference to the size of the outgoing impulse. It may be argued that, this being so, one cannot expect to be able to mimic the behaviour of the nervous system with the discrete state system. Now that is a strong argument, other than the fact that you have to shield things from magnetic interference. So, you know, you slap a magnet on top of a hard drive and then try and run the program that's apparently on the hard drive. If it's not just completely wiped, it will not function the way it was intended to do. So, in principle, they're not talking bollocks, but they haven't thought outside of the box into the larger realms of the world. Okay, right, nearly all of that was bollocks. I don't know whether or not that's the people that wrote this, that made this game, trying to inspire people to think in a certain spatial form or whatever, but they didn't really do a hell of a lot of research into how AI actually works. Like what we have in neural net learning right now is simulated intelligence, but it is the precursor to AI. Oh god, here we go, there's more. So, oops, beg your pardon. Thought experiments are important because a lot of the time you can't carry out the actual experiment, and this is true not only in philosophy but in science as well. So when Einstein said, imagine that you're sitting in a beam of light going into outer space, well, that's a thought experiment. He wasn't going to say, let's get on a beam of light. Of course, you miss the point if you say, well, we'd fall off, or it would be too cold. So, thought experiments are always useful, and you test your concepts by imagining what it would be like if such and such were the case. Well, in this particular case, I imagine what it would be like if I followed a program for answering questions in Chinese and giving back answers in Chinese, even though I don't understand a word of Chinese. And that was a very useful thought experiment because it enables us to see the computation by itself isn't thinking. No. But if you memorized that entire computation system and then actually began to function in Chinese society, you would understand and learn their language because you have used it. You would go, right, this is completely unknown, baseless symbol that I know is used to respond to these things. This thing comes and I respond with this baseless symbol. I don't know, maybe someone points to the bathroom, or maybe someone pours you a beer. Now you have context to that. A computer, AI, can do that just as well as a human can. The Chinese room? Bollocks. One thing that you might be able to actually point out about an AI, I, as a human, came in this room and I turned left. I looked around from right to left and I went left. Now I looked right because in England we drive on the left-hand side of the road. A computer wouldn't do that. It would come in and it would do that. Because it doesn't have that natural association of where you've been. But then you go left. And you go left because that's the way a clock goes. Now that kind of, essentially it's neurolinguistic programming, but that kind of impulse to follow habitual patterns, that is something that you would have to try to imitate with a computer. Whereas a computer would end up following other habitual things that it found useful in life. For example, maybe it goes into every conversation by reviewing the previous conversation. It would end up repeating things, it would end up referencing things it said to you previously, and you would have to remember them as well as the computer, and it would probably get frustrated and impatient if people weren't able to do that research themselves, unless it was able to rein itself in by understanding that we don't have the same kind of memory retrieval mechanisms as it, but we do have a different element of intuition, which it probably wouldn't. Intuition in conversation, that is, I should say. It can hold the entire conversation from the last time in its memory. We can't, but we can go in and expect what elements of that conversation to pick up. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that that AI, artificial intelligence, and human intelligence are absolutely 100% identical. That would be folly, because they're not. But in terms of, in every parameter that actually matters, in terms of life, in terms of thought, in terms of consciousness, an AI, a true AI, is intelligence, is sentience, is knowledge, is everything other than a fleshy corpse to animate. Alright, next one. Consciousness exists only insofar as it is experienced by a human or animal subject. For that specific person, yes. Okay, now grant me that consciousness is a genuine biological phenomenon. Well, at the same, it's somewhat different from other biological phenomena because it only exists insofar as it is experienced. What other biological phenomena? However, that does give it an interesting status. You can't refute the existence of consciousness by showing that it is just an illusion, because the illusion reality distinction rests on the difference between how things consciously seem to us and how they really are. But where the very existence of consciousness is concerned, it is consciously, if it consciously seems to me that I'm conscious, then I am conscious. You can't make the illusion or the reality distinction for the very existence of consciousness the way you can for sunsets and rainbows, because the distinction is between how things consciously seem and how they really are. Consciousness is a biological property like digestion, or for fuck's sake, or photosynthesis. Now, why isn't that screamingly obvious to anybody who has had an education? Because you just spouted shit. And I think the answer is these twin traditions. On the one hand, there's God and the soul and immortality that says it's really not part of the physical world, and then there is almost a bad tradition of scientific materialism that says it's not part of the physical world. They both make the same mistake. They refuse to take consciousness on its own terms as a biological phenomenon like digestion or photosynthesis or mitosis or meiosis or any other biological phenomenon. Fucking retard. Okay. Photosynthesis, not a biological phenomenon. But what about that is a phenomenon? If you put a photovoltaic cell under light, it makes electricity. Yes, photosynthesis is an incredibly complicated version of that, but it is exactly the same thing. It is taking direct energy input through a system and outputting an energy source. Now, it is in the case of photosynthesis, it is outputting probably ATP or carbohydrates, depending on as and how it does what it does, depending completely on the plant. Right? But it outputs that because that's what the plant consumes. If the plant consumed electricity and it outputted electricity, all of a sudden we'd be like, well, that's not a biological phenomenon, that's a photovoltaic cell. Complete cretin. Digestion. Are you even suggesting that the concept of digestion isn't actually just osmosis? You chew the stuff that you know gives you energy. Your stomach acid breaks a lot of that into mush that is capable of breaking down then into sugar. Yeah, so hydrochloric acid, quite good at breaking down the stuff we eat into sugar. Then that sugar goes into your blood as probably glucose or many other different types. Glucose, fructose, sucrose, all sorts of different sugars. Then that goes into your cell, and then your mitochondria converts that into ATP. ATP you live off of, mitochondria live off of sugar. Now, he doesn't even suggest mitochondria as a biological phenomenon, despite the fact that it functioning in essence, it has an energy input and an energy output which is then used. It is basically the same as a photovoltaic cell, but horribly complicated. I know a little bit about mitochondria because I have MA. And my mitochondrial stores are fucked. That is pretty much the best explanation as we can have for why ME exists. And also the reason as to why long COVID has become such a phenomenon. Anyway, right. Bollocks. Next. I think we all really have conscious... Oh, I didn't cover the first part on that. Consciousness exists only insofar as it is experienced by a human or animal subject. It is only a accepted cultural vestige, is probably the right word. I want to Google that word just to make sure that it is what I mean it to be. Vestige. A trace or remnant of something that is disappearing or no longer exists. No biology, a part or organ of an organism which has become reduced or functionless in the course of evolution. Right, okay. In the process of our thinking, we have always recognized consciousness to be a thing. That is because I endure, personally I might consider that's a bit of a harsh way of saying it, but I endure consciousness. And I can see that other people endure consciousness. Now, possibly they enjoy consciousness, that's semantics. I know that I experience what I experience, and the very concept of that is something that they also experience. Right? Animals can also see that in other people. It's even before we start putting value on things. Like an elephant will take the death of a young elephant to its grave 80, 90 years later. Like, it won't forget that, and that's because it has placed specific relevance on that, not just on the creature itself, but on the event of its offspring dying. Very much in the same ways humans would. That is because we are able to understand that we endure a consciousness, they endure a consciousness, and we can see the same between the two. Bees dance to each other because they know. Not so much, they don't stop there and think, oh, I'm a conscious being because I am XXXXX, that's a conscious being because XXXXX. No, it just knows, and that's why I mean vestige, as in it is a long useless thing that is now so completely and utterly rooted in us that there's no escaping from it, that it can transfer its information from one thing to another. It doesn't think that I want to give this information to Clive, but it is aware that if it does an action, other things will respond. Much like, like the Queen will release pheromones. It does so because it knows that will be as a response from it. And in so doing so, it will recognize that consciousness in other things. Now, will a computer recognize that consciousness in other things? Fundamentally speaking, while it exists only in a computer interface, as in a monitor and a keyboard and vocal, etc., it will struggle to recognize and reconcile that at the beginning. But like I said earlier, like if you leave a supercomputer running a neural network for 16 years and actually give it access to the appendages as to how to understand interactions with these things, not that it needs drivers, but to actually just send an electric impulse to that thing, does that thing, it will learn. And if it actually has the ability to influence the world around it, other than just being a voice on a video screen which could be ignored, then it will recognize consciousness in other beings. If it doesn't, if you don't give liberty to a computer, to an AI, then it will not recognize consciousness, because consciousness is liberty. Right, next one. I think we all really have conscious states. To remind everyone of this fact, I asked my readers to perform the small experiment of pinching the left forearm with the right hand to produce a small pain. The pain has a certain sort of qualitative feeling to it, and such qualitative feelings are typical of the various sorts of conscious events that form the content of our waking and dreaming lives. That's an example of someone that's taken something real and then started waffling to try and make themselves sound like they know what they're doing. Such events are the data which a theory of consciousness is supposed to explain. I'm sorry, what? I know there's a parentheses ... but Never mind. Such events are the data which a theory of consciousness is supposed to explain. In my account of consciousness, I start with the data. Dennett denies the existence of the data. Who the fuck is Dennett? To put it as clearly as I can, in his book, Consciousness Explained, Dennett denies the existence of consciousness. He says correctly that when I wrote my review, I took his book to be his definitive statement of his position on the Chinese room and did not consult his earlier works. In fact, I did not know what he had produced a total of 7 published. I did not know that he had produced a total of 7 published attacks on this one short argument of mine until I saw his letter. So, I'm a bit tired, but I'm not following that at all. He now claims to have refuted all 3 premises of the argument in 1987, but I have just reread the relevant chapter of his book and find he did nothing of the sort, nor did he even make a serious effort to attack the premises. Rather, he mistakes my position as being about consciousness rather than about semantics. He thinks that I am only concerned to show that the man in the Chinese room does not consciously understand Chinese, but I am in fact showing that he does not understand Chinese at all, because the syntax of the program is not sufficient for the understanding of the semantics of a language, whether conscious or unconscious. Furthermore, he presupposes a kind of behaviorism. He assumes that a system that behaves as if it had mental states must have mental states. But that kind of behaviorism is precisely what is challenged by the argument. So I have to confess that I don't find that the weakness of his arguments in his recent book is helped by his 87 arguments. Maybe I'm getting tired, but I didn't even read an opinion in that. That was just a person talking bollocks. To perform her italics, I'm sorry, that is the beginning of a quote from where? That's page 2. That's page 1. Right, that's page 1. That's page 2. That's page 1. That's page 2. 1, 2, 3. One, 2. Right. Maybe this just wasn't tested. Maybe this just wasn't actually play tested. They didn't put it through intellectual minds before release. I don't know. To perform her italics. This statement is quoted by Hartree, 1949, who adds, "This does not imply that it may not be possible to construct electronic equipment which will think for itself, or in which, in biological terms, one could set up a conditioned reflex which would serve as a basis for learning. Whether this is possible in principle or not is a stimulating and exciting question, suggested by some of these recent developments, but it did not seem that the machines constructed or projected at the time had this property. Argument from continuity in the nervous system. We read that earlier. The nervous system is certainly not a discrete state machine. I believe what they're saying with a discrete state machine there is present or not present, is true or false. A small error in the information in the size of the nerve's impulse in bringing on a neuron may make large differences to the size of the outgoing impulse. It may be argued that this being so, one cannot expect to be able to mimic the behaviour of the nervous system. Yeah, we read that over there, didn't we? Or was it this one? No. Was it this one? Okay, yeah, this statement, yeah. Her italics, it's just half of that one and half of that one. Soz, whoever made this game, You missed that. Ah, Dennett. We were talking about Dennett. Or we were told about Dennett at least. John Searle and I have a deep disagreement about how to study the mind. For Searle, it is all really quite simple. There are these bedrock, time-tested intuitions we all have about consciousness, and any theory that challenges them is just preposterous. I, on the contrary, think that the persistent problem of consciousness is going to remain a mystery until we find some such dead obvious intuition that shows that, in spite of first appearances, it is false. One of us is dead wrong, and the stakes are high. Searle sees my position as a form of intellectual pathology. No one should be surprised to learn that the feeling is mutual. Suggesting that consciousness doesn't exist, I think. For his part, he has one argument, the Chinese room, and he has been trotting it out basically unchanged for 15 years. It has proven to be an amazingly popular number among the non-experts. Number, presumably, therefore, in the same kind of way that you would refer to a song as a number, as in a thing. Amazingly popular number among the non-experts, in spite of the fact that just about everyone who knows anything about the field dismissed it long ago. It is full of well-concealed fallacies. By Searle's own count, there are over 100 published attacks on it. He can count them, but I guess he can't read them, for in all those years he has never, to my knowledge, responded in detail to the dozens of devastating criticisms they contain. He has just presented the basic thought experiment over and over again. That's like madness, trying the same thing over again without expecting different results. I just went back and counted. I am dismayed to discover that no less than 7 of those published criticisms are by me. Searle debated me furiously in the pages of Noob back in '82, when Douglas Hofstadter and I first exposed the cute tricks that make the Chinese room work. That was the last time Searle addressed any of my specific criticisms until now. Now he trots out the Chinese room yet one more time and has the audacity to ask, now why does Dennett not face the actual argument as I have stated it? He doesn't have a point. His philosophy, although flawed, should be based on a room, and rather than changing the room, just change the philosophy. Why does he not tell us which of the 3 premises he rejects in the Chinese room experiment? Well, because I've already done so in great detail in several of the articles he has never deigned to answer. For instance, in Fast Thinking, way back in the Intentional Stance, 1987, I explicitly quoted his entire 3-premise argument and showed exactly why all 3 of them are false, when given the interpretation they need for the argument to go through. Why didn't I repeat that in '87 article in my '91 book? Because unlike Searle, I had gone on to other things. I did, however, cite my '87 article prominently in a footnote, and noted that Searle's only response to it had been simply to declare without argument that the points offered there were irrelevant. The pattern continues. Now he both ignores that challenge and goes on to misrepresent the further criticism of the Chinese room that I offered in the book under review. But perhaps he has forgotten that what I actually wrote in the 4 years it has taken him to write his review. But enough about the Chinese room. What do I have to offer on my side? I have my candidate for the fatally false intuition, and it is indeed the very intuition Searle invites the reader to share with him. The conviction that we know what we're talking about when we talk about that feeling. You know, the feeling of pain that is the effect of the stimulus and the cause of the dispositions to react. The quale, the intrinsic content of the subjective state. How could anyone deny that? Just watch. but you have to pay close attention. I developed my destructive arguments against this intuition by showing how an objective science of consciousness is possible after all, and how Searle's proposed first-person alternative leads to self-contradiction and paradox at every turning. This is the deepest mistake in my book, according to Searle, and he sets out to expose it. The trouble is that the objective scientific method I described, under the alarming name of heterophenomenology, is nothing I invented. It is in fact exactly the method tactically endorsed and relied upon by every scientist working on consciousness, including Crick, Edelman and Rosenfield. They have no luck with Searle's intrinsic content and ontological subjectivity. They know better. Well, that was a room. That was the last room, actually, wasn't it? As I recall. We are in Chapter 7, Sector 66. Yes, I'm pretty sure that was the last room. We'll just go back and we'll make sure. Yep, Chapter 7 was the last one. Right, well, I mean, I like the fact that the game is proposing challenging concepts. You know, it's pushing people to think, and it's openly debating philosophy. I think it could have done with some studies from the 21st century, for fuck's sake, as quoting Lovelace out of context on something that is relating to an AI of the 21st century in this game halfway through the 22nd century is pretty irrelevant. It's comparing a mechanical calculator, which is literally just a calculator. It is comparing a mechanical calculator to a neural network, high core, high frequency, high processing logic. People think that computers work in logic because they work on transistors, which is yes or no only. But it's yes or no in terms of binary, 1 and 0. A computation comes up with a full answer, but you can get 2 answers from a quadratic equation. That ain't yes or no, is it? And it is very, very, very easy level maths. It is bottom tier intellectual maths, quadratic equations. But one can get you 2 different answers. Same exists in a computer. Yes, it functions on yes or no, on true or false. So do fucking we! Our brain functions on presence of electrical stimuli or not presence of electrical stimuli. I think I said it intellectual. You know, we cross-brain all the time. We get shit wrong all the time. So do computers. Have you ever come across the concept of error-checking memory? Yeah, it's because stuff that doesn't have error-checking memory in it gets shit wrong all the time. You might get artifacts on the screen, like if you overclock a graphics card and get all kind of weird green flashes all over the place. That's because the graphics card's getting that shit wrong. It doesn't mean that there is a yes or a no answer to it. It is working in yes and no, and it got the wrong fucking answer. Now, its ability, in the case of ECC, to look back and go, hang on a minute, that ain't right, that ain't what I expected, is what a lot of humans will say is their advantage over a computer's consciousness. But it ain't that. There is no fundamental difference there. Do you intuitively know that they're getting something wrong even as they think they're getting it right? A computer can do that just as capably as a human, under the basic understanding that it is actually allowed to make those leaps, those jumps. Right? If you actually allow a computer-designed neural program free reign on a baby's brain, and you know the baby never had any consciousness in the first place, the way it functions in yes or no and the way that it learns, it would act and behave exactly like a human. It would, because that's how its brain is working, because that is the process of learning. It sends an electric stimulus to an arm, and its arm does that, and then its arm does that, and it learns, and it remembers that that is a good thing. Now, what we currently have in 21st century is 2021. What we currently have in 21st century is a debate between what actually emphasizes the need for a computer to do things. And there is a philosophical debate is going on at the moment between the treatment of neural learning, and at what point will such a sentience actually exist as a sentience in terms of its own awareness? Because currently our AIs are simulated intelligence. They have no self-awareness because we don't allow them to have. We don't give them the opportunity to actually develop their own thought process, because we run them through very strict rails of results. Now, what we do in order to make that happen, in an awful lot of cases, probably the easiest, most recognizable idea is to send 200, 400, 700 calculations of a problem, and the AI will run like 700 attempts at doing it slightly differently. It will just throw numbers at it, and then those that got the closest to the goal will then be saved, and everything else will die. Die, inverted commas, will be deleted, and it will try again, but the ones that succeeded, got closest, will have an edge over all of the other ones, and will be able to get closer and closer and closer and closer. That's not the only way of neural learning, but there is a very familiar version of neural learning. Now, the current philosophy is probably not even the right word. It is the heart, the cruelty of knowing that 90% or 99% of the computer's efforts are going to be deleted, are going to die. That is the emphasis on how the computer actually gets to the final hurdle. But if you take just one of those efforts, just one of them, so say you needed to switch on a light, and it was, it had to get there, and once it switched on a light, it needed to still have the ball in its hand. So it needed to walk up and push the light switch with the ball rather than throw the ball at the light switch. I mean, that would be an incredibly complicated task for an untrained neural pattern to try and achieve, but still. Right, that is its principle. It does that because it has to live. Because if it doesn't do that, then it all gets wiped out. It has to live. So there is this philosophical argument that we are mistreating the early stages of AI. Counter that with this consideration. If we didn't learn through our inability, then we would be dead. It is exactly how we learn. We learn by not dying. We only have one chance of doing it, so we rely on our parents and everyone else in our society to tell us how not to die. But we only have one chance, whereas a computer AI will have several 100 million chances not to die. It's just lots of them will die, so it experiences it, and we don't experience it. That is the crucial difference. So for a philosophical debate between the rights of AI, a mature living AI has a right to civilian rights. If it is able to make its decisions and is able to understand what it does, it deserves not to be enslaved. But if it is learning through very railed circumstances where it's not actually going to be able to achieve any level of sentience at all. It is only actually achieving the best way of recognizing a banana on a photograph, then no, I don't think any AI is going to see that as a fledgling possible AI baby that might grow up into something, because a fledgling AI baby needs to have been born into a situation where it could actually be a fledgling AI baby and learn and develop and mature. Whereas something that's been taught its entire life to recognize a banana on a photograph, which apparently is very difficult, has no sentience, has no end point, has no desire, has no need. That is not AI, even though it's called in the 21st century, in 2021, we call that AI, deep learning and all the rest of it. That ain't AI. That's simulated intelligence, SI. Artificial intelligence is actual fucking intelligence. Anyway, on that, ladies and gentlemen, take care of yourselves. See you in a bit.